Welcome back to another video. My name is Abby, and today we're talking about the truth about revision and how to use it. Before I do so, I have an announcement. If you are interested in working with me one-on-one, I have recently changed the way I take payment, and that is donation-based. There is a $30 minimum payment, but after that, if that's what you can afford right now, that is perfect. You can click below to book a session. If you want to leave a tip, add more, you can do so as well. Either way, I look forward to helping you to break through limiting beliefs and get you out of the current cycle and experience that you are having so that you can manifest what you want. So all the information is below in the link, and it is a temporary offer. So if the link is live, it is still good to go. So anyway, back to the video. Revision. What is the truth about revision? Well, the reason I made this video is because I've been seeing and hearing and getting a lot of questions on revision, and I want to clear up some things because I think right now a lot of you out there, if you're watching this video, you might be having some issues. Maybe you are making a revision, right? It comes from Neville Goddard. This idea and the concept for this video is specifically Neville Goddard revision. So he talks about it, right? You revise the past and then boom, your life changes. Well, what I'm seeing and hearing is that people are trying this and it's not producing a result. So what I want to do is explain why that's happening and really what you can do to get the change that you're looking for right now. So I'm going to start with an example that he gave in one of his lectures, which is essentially if you go for a job interview, right? And you really want the job and then you find out that you don't get it. If you react with negative emotions, you feel rejected, or you feel depressed, he suggests that you take that moment and you go back and pretend and revise that you had got the job. Now, this is where it goes a little bit awry. There is power in the idea behind this. However, the execution is where things are going bonkers. So why the current execution that I see, if you just take it word for word, this isn't working. So potentially in your life, if you grew up and you had a difficult childhood, maybe you were abandoned, right? Maybe that was emotional abandonment. Maybe that was physical abandonment from a parent or someone close to you. If you tell yourself and recreate this childhood where you were loved by the parent, you were nurtured and you always were cared for emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, all the good stuff, right? Perfect childhood. But your body has the emotions and the history of the past that you're trying to revise. Well, really that would be stepping into an illusion with an I. And that means basically you're putting an impression of something that's false on your mind, but you're not really fully accepting it. And why is this? Why is Neville telling us to do this? And yet when you're trying to apply it, you're imagining, you're having this revision, you're doing this work, you're trying. And then you're like, why isn't it working? Why can't I manifest something different? Why is my experience the same as if I wasn't trying to revise at all? The reason is that the whole thing about revision is seeing yourself differently. And I want to use a Neville Goddard quote. And the quote is, change your concept of yourself and you will automatically change the world in which you live. Do not try to change the people. They are only messengers. So really, the whole thing about revision, the most important part is the way that you see yourself, your self-concept. So in that very first example from Neville Goddard's lecture, where he says, okay, you didn't get the job, you're feeling depressed, you're feeling rejected, you're not feeling good enough. Okay, that's the important bit, that you saw something outside of you and it's, confirming who you think you are. When you revise it and you say, oh no, how would it make you feel if you got the job? Who would you have been if you got the job? Basically, you're giving yourself back that power because of the meaning of who you are from that, after that, right? So if you've been experiencing something where you're trying to revise a situation, maybe a relationship with somebody, maybe an entire childhood, whatever the case may be, and you're experiencing this kind of resistance, this, you're doing the work and it's not happening, it's because you're still trying to use that external reality to give you value, to give you meaning. So if you had that childhood where it was great and everything was perfect, then you would be loved, then you would feel whole and complete, right? So because you haven't addressed how you really see yourself, rewriting that story doesn't change the meaning that you actually gave the original one, right? So if in the situation you simply go back to what you made it mean and retell the story that way, revision, right? It's to see in a different way. So the big issue here is that when you're trying to do this, you're trying to put this idea that you know not to be true because you have a current self-concept, and I'm going to use a fancy coffee cup, but you have a current concept, right, of yourself from the situation that originally happened. You've created a self-concept, or you've perceived of this concept, this meaning to be true, that you're not valuable enough, you're not worthy enough, you did something wrong, or whatever the case may be. That was the little child you reasoning on that. It's not true, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But then you take this idea of a revision, and you're trying to put it on over this. Well, the feelings are still here because you're only covering over this. Now, if you retell the story and revise it, and you've given yourself a new meaning, and you see yourself differently, then you've executed this perfectly, right? What Neville Goddard was trying to say, or was communicating, is revise the story of how you see yourself in that. Not just the story, because if you stay in that, whatever is outside of me is him, dictating how I feel. That is that Newtonian way that Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, meaning that you are powerless unless your outside changes so that it changes the way you feel about yourself. So if you can start understanding, oh, okay, if I've been revising something to never have happened, what is the meaning I gave myself from that happening? Can I take my adult mind right now and re-see the way that happened, re-reason on it to give myself a new meaning, because that will then completely change the way you see yourself. Like I said before, it's not my words, but they're beautiful. You don't see the world as it is, you see the world as you are. So if you're changing the way you see yourself, what you see is going to change. Because if we take Dr. Bruce Lipton's numbers of 30 to 50 million bits of information per second coming into your subconscious, and you have 40, well, if you're looking in the past, right, as you're trying to revise the situation, you're looking and you're finding things that are showing you that you're not valuable, you're not worthy, you're going to get abandoned. If you see, oh, maybe a parent left and you had reasoned that you weren't good enough, or if you would have done something better, or you didn't mean anything, or everyone that you love leaves you, right? That's the interpretation, that's the meaning, that's what you took in to be true as a child. But now going back in as an adult and revising it, meaning seeing it differently, giving new meanings, giving new insights to yourself, and seeing, oh, that parent was going through a really rough time. They didn't have the tools, so they basically shut it out so they could survive, and they left. Not because of what you did, but because of what they didn't have at that time. The tools to cope, the tools to process, the tools to heal. So if you can go back and see, oh, I was always full of meaning. I was always full of value. I was always worthy. I just thought that I wasn't at that time. So now those 40 bits of information are going to reflect you being valuable, you being worthy, you being whole and complete. So when you're looking out into the world and you're finding those bits of information that are going to confirm this, you're going to see an entire different world. Not because all these things are new, but simply because you're able to perceive them, because they're actually in that alignment, in that identity, in that state of being of that new you, of that new way you see yourself. So when you're trying to use this and when you're going out to revise, rather than trying to change the entire thing and hoping that new, scene makes you feel different, start seeing and asking yourself, how do you feel about that? What did you take to be meaning about that? And see yourself differently in that moment, those circumstances of what they meant to you and who you were and the meaning and all that. Start seeing that differently, re-see it, and then you'll be able to actually dramatically change that impact it has on you. Just like the original example that Neville Goddard gave about this person who didn't get the job. And they said, oh, okay, no, I'm gonna visualize that friend calling and tell me I got the job, or I'm gonna visualize hearing that person, right, saying, congratulations, you got the job. It's not about the event. It's about the meaning you're giving yourself. So if you start tapping into, yeah, you'd feel great about that phone call because it would confirm that you're successful, you're a winner, you're worthy, you're powerful, you get what you want, right? That's what you are after. That's what you really want. So if you can just go straight to that and realize you're in power, you're in control of the meanings you're handing out, the consent and permission about certain things and what they mean for you, and realizing your belief, a core belief, is what you're accepting to be true. So did you take it to mean in that original scene that you experienced that you weren't worthy, that you don't get what you want, that people you love leave? If you did, start understanding that you can use your mind right now to see it differently so you can revise, so that you can re-see that situation, give yourself new meaning. So now when you look out in your world, you have no reason to be like, oh yeah, I'm not worthy. It's like, oh wait, that actually, the original thing that proved that I was unworthy didn't actually happen because that was my parents or that was whatever. That was something outside of me. That wasn't about me. So now who can you be without that? Because it never actually existed. It was simply a way that you saw it, and you can see it differently, and you can see it in alignment with who it is, how it is, and the experiences that you want to experience in this life. The more you start to see yourself differently in those moments that were painful, the more you start to take back your power, and you deserve to do it. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, click that little like button below. If you haven't done so already, join this community. We would love to have you. And until the next time, I love y'all.